Hi, welcome to Infodumpies. My name's Brianne. I'm autistic, I have ADHD, my pronouns are she, her, and I think technically I'm cyberpunk because I report every single ad I receive on social media just to stick it to the corpo scuzzes.
Hi, I'm Violet. My pronouns are she, her. I have ADHD, and the only thing I love more than cranking my fucking hog is my wife. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, my fucking wife, I love her so much. I don't know if you've ever met her. Her name's Brianne. Her pronouns are she, her.
She's autistic and she has ADHD.
Yeah.
Does she count as cyberpunk because she reports
Oh my
every
God,
ad?
yeah,
Yes,
how'd
yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes.
So you've met my wife?
Yeah, I have my wife. So today we're gonna talk about battle jackets.
Hell yeah.
Now, do you know what qualifies something as a battle jacket?
Um, it's a jacket that you punch Nazis in.
I mean, yeah, valid. I wish that were the case for everyone who wears battle jackets, but as we know,
Yeah.
from the communities, many Nazis also appropriate those. But the battle jacket, I didn't quite know why Gen Z had started doing the battle jacket thing, which I just hadn't seen very much from that generation. But then, while doing research for this episode, the answer was Stranger Things. So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
that explained a lot to me. So, a battle jacket, for those of you listening who might not know, is a either vest or jacket. It can also be called a battle vest. I saw some slang for them I had never heard before, like cutties and cutoffs for the vests, like not slang I had ever used. But it is traditionally a vest or jacket, and it's usually made of denim or leather. But really, which we'll get into, no rules just right out back. A battle jacket can be kind of whatever you want it to be. Made out of whatever you want it to be.
Battle culottes.
No, for real, people make like battle pants, battle hats, battle bags, like
Battle jorts.
battle bots.
Battle bots.
Just a bot covered in patches. A bot with a big old Megadeth patch.
I'm gonna get a Denny's employee polo and make that my battle jacket.
Yeah, so battle vests are typically worn by people in the punk and metalhead communities. We'll talk about the differences between some of those jacket styles and then some rules people try to put on them, which again feels weird to me to put rules on how to put patches on a jacket, but whatever. But battle jackets, they are most commonly attributed to metalheads and punks. I have several battle vests because I have the kind of autism where I don't want to get caught wearing long sleeves in case I get too hot and have to take it off. Also, most of these I procured while we lived in Texas because I wanted to be able to wear them more than 3 weeks out of the year.
And also pockets.
Yes, pockets. This is one of the big things I like about them. My autism also likes them because they're usually pretty heavy and I can get that proprioceptive input like I'm wearing a weighted vest, like a light weighted vest or something. But it also looks like just a fashion choice, right?
Yeah.
So I have several. I'm wearing one now that looks akin to a fishing vest, and it's a secondhand Urban Outfitters vest that I got and I've put patches on. I wear them almost every day. The pockets are great because I'm never without my lip balm or my vape, which really are the two things. My lip balm, my vape, and my knife, which comes in handy for someone working from home more often than I thought it would, having that in my pocket. But yeah, I have several. They range in design. Some of them I've incorporated sashiko onto as they start falling apart. I love them. And I think they're an interesting piece of clothing because all clothing has a sociocultural function, right? Clothing can tell you, like, what groups people belong to. Like, as queer people, there have been generations of different sort of clothing meant to flag your queerness. Like, there was the whole, like, French lesbians wearing monocles thing.
Oh, I didn't know about that. That's cool.
Yeah, there's, like, some French lesbian club. I believe it was called Le Monocle. Like, there are some cool pictures from this old lesbian bar.
Cool.
You have hanky code, you have all of these other, like, very overt clothing pieces, like, overtly sociocultural clothing pieces that let you know something about someone, but...
Carabiners,
right? But I think battle jackets are interesting because it is the most like personal you can get with how your clothes are telling people about you, I think. Like a lot. So one of my favorite subreddits just to lurk on is jackets for battle. Don't go to the battle jacket sub is full of a bunch of people having some patches on there that are sus, and some are overt Nazi stuff, and they don't really filter things the way they should and moderate. Yeah, and they have a bunch of bullshit rules in that sub too. They're like, it has to be made of this. No My Chemical Romance patches.
What?
It's just bullshit stuff. Has to have DIY. Has to have like a bunch of stuff for posting. So jackets for battle
must only be worn at Weenie Hut Jr.
Yeah. So I like to look at the subreddit jackets for battle because I can learn so much about the person who posted the picture of the battle jacket they're working on just from looking at the battle jacket.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a whole bunch of bumper stickers on your car. Like it's a choice, and it tells you a lot about the person.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it different from bumper stickers though is like, sure, someone can DIY a bumper sticker kind of, but there's so much DIY someone can do with the battle jacket that this was actually inspired by me seeing someone post one on jackets for battle where I'm like, okay, you are an artist yourself, you're an autistic lesbian. I think I can figure out kind of about what age you are from the band stuff. You're also a nerd and you really like Star Wars. I learned so much about this person just from them sharing the progress that they made on their battle jacket, which I can't think of another piece of clothing that can provide you that much information about a person, you know, because a lot of their patches were handmade, and like I just think it's like a really interesting thing that the subcultures share.
Yeah, I think the only other piece of clothing that tells me everything I need to know about a person when I see them wearing it is a bright red hat or Crocs with the charms.
Yeah. So I found a really cool like ethnographic article, which, do you know what ethnography is?
It's where you write down
Yes.
Ethnicities.
No.
Okay, I don't know what it is.
No, not really. It is writing about a culture, but there is more of a skill to it than that. It is coming at it from a neutral place. So this is something that is a facet of anthropology, which that was my minor, so I had to take ethnography courses. And ethnography, you kind of treat it like you are a complete alien to this culture, and I didn't know I got to let the autism take the wheel, where you look for patterns and social classes and rules people in that culture might not be overtly aware of. So one of my ethnography projects was sitting in a bar once a week, sitting there for like 2 to 4 hours, I believe, was kind of what I had to do, and just write about the things I saw to figure out what the kind of rules and culture of this place I was finding myself in were. So someone did an ethnographic study on battle jackets. And this is an article from 2021 called Anatomy of a Battle Jacket, a Multimodal Ethnographic Perspective by Lauren O'Hagan. And Lauren splits the battle jacket into 3 categories. I think they're good. There's the classic battle jacket, which acts pretty much strictly as a musical biography. So this seems to be what metalheads tend to prefer to do. Metalheads who have battle jackets seem to make it like, this is mostly metal bands. I'm not putting a bunch of personal stuff.
Gotcha.
There are metal bands all over this, right? And that's not to say...
Yeah, it's not really political. It's more of just, this is the musical things that I like.
Yes, and before you come from me, metalheads who might have political stuff on yours, I know it's not everybody, but if we're figuring out the trends, metalheads tend to usually just focus on the music stuff.
Yeah. We're generalizing, and this person, trying to do this ethnographic study had to do that to a certain degree. So, classic battle jacket acts as a musical biography. Then there's the tribute jacket, which displays social ties and connections to loved ones. This is kind of what I think mine might fall into, because I have a lot of like art sort of patches and other things on mine. Not totally sure, but
So tribute jacket,
Yeah.
and then the modern battle jacket, which tends to promote particular political or religious beliefs.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think that probably sums up all of them. I feel like there should be that last category that kind of more tends towards what yours is, which is like an artistic statement.
Yeah, which has political stuff that overlaps. Like, I have one that has a
True.
giant
True.
back patch with a guillotine that says "Better Days Ahead." The one I'm wearing right
True.
now has a patch on the front that has someone destroy, like a swastika getting destroyed, and it said "Fight fascism, build socialism." So that's an overtly political
Yeah.
message, but it's kind of a mishmash.
True.
Yeah, but mine tend to be like, do I like the patch? Is it pretty? It go on vest.
Yeah. It's the stuff I like vest.
The stuff I like vest. Yeah. And like
Yeah. I can get
I've
behind
got
that.
some autism sort of joke ones. Like, y'all got me Violet and James for my last birthday got me some patches actually meant for dog vests. So this one has one that says "Stop, no touch, no talk, no eye contact." So, for dogs or autistic people. But yeah, so that also
Yeah.
tells you about a social tie of mine, though, because I think when other autistic people see that, they understand why I have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Also, I think it's funny to imagine you in college sitting at a bar,
Right?
contrasting with now,
Right? No, I
like
don't even drink.
someone who I would, yeah, you don't drink, and also you're wearing a patch that says all that. And it's like, I feel like if I see you in a bar, something has gone terribly wrong, or you've been abducted and replaced by pot people.
Yeah, no, I was deeply unhappy.
Yeah.
My mental health was horrible. I did not know who I was. It was bad. But I one of the things that got me interested was looking at the battle jacket and thinking how cool it was. I learned so much about this person from them sharing this picture of their jacket. And then I was like, I don't know where the origin of the battle jacket is from, or even technically why it's called a battle jacket.
Yeah.
So that's the rabbit hole I went down.
Okay, cool.
So most people tend to agree that the battle jacket actually is not something started by music culture, that it goes back to World War II fighter pilots.
Oh, interesting.
So they would take their regulation jackets they had and they would paint the backs of them and sew on patches with their squadron's insignia. And I found some really cool pictures of, like, clearly someone had lovingly painted an image of like some pinup babe on a plane and stuff on the back of their like regulation jackets. These were known as their battle jackets, and it was a social thing to let people know, hey, this is the squadron I'm with. But their jackets were really those classic bomber jackets, and aesthetically, the only way they really look like the modern idea of a battle jacket we have today is that it's a jacket with some patches, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, because that's it's probably like a shorter cropped leather jacket.
yep.
I'm imagining.
And some of them had that like sort of Sherpa line collar thing, and
in
the
and
patches,
the puffy sleeves,
and the patch placement too. It wasn't how many patches can we fit on here. It was, I have like 4 or 5 patches spread out between the arms. Like, it's different. It was a different aesthetic, but most people agree that is the root of the battle jacket, mostly because those were called battle jackets. So
nice.
When these men came back home, those that were into motorcycles said, oh, well, my old, regulation jacket that I wore as a fighter pilot actually provides me some really good protection on the motorcycle.
That makes sense, yeah. Then they love cranking that hog.
They love cranking that hog almost as much as they love their wives, I hope. For them, it offered a lot of protection, and then if they decided to join a biker gang, that patch just joined all of the other insignia that they had on their battle jacket.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
So the World War II battle jacket is also the origin of the biker vest.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have, I don't know why I would have thought that the biker jacket came first somehow, but no, that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys, they had skills with mechanical things too. So many were becoming mechanics, getting very into motorcycles. And some of them, depending on the bikes they had, found the arms restricting for reaching up for riding long distances. And they would cut the arms off and turn them into leather vests.
Hell yeah. Okay. Absolutely, I could see that. Yeah, because I've had like my biggest problem with most of the leather jackets that I've ever owned and or worn is the shoulders, for sure. I've got big beefy shoulders.
And reaching that high up for that long, trying to like be stretched out like that in a
Yeah,
leather
just
jacket. Yeah.
all that leather bunching up around your neck. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would turn them into vests very frequently. Yeah. So then you would have people who were not war vets at all who would get into motorcycles and join gangs. And they would get different types of jackets to turn into their biker jacket, which is where the styles of biker jacket and vest kind of expanded, because there had been this culture of, yeah, we wear these jackets when we ride and we put our, gang's insignia on it. Not everyone was a war vet, so other people went to go get other jackets to do the same thing too.
Interesting. Yeah, so that like the culture of people who were vets influenced people who weren't, that were ended up in the same social group.
Yes.
Interesting.
So even today, we tend to associate bikers with certain genres of music. Like, not Barry Manilow, right?
What?
Yeah.
No, that's the most biker music ever.
Yeah, so even back then, there were people getting into the same sort of new thing called rock music who also happened to like motorcycles, to the 60s, where some people became mods and they would have their scooters with all the mirrors and stuff on it and lights. And they were like the mod squad kind of 60s people who would listen to a certain kind of rock and like modern jazz. Yeah. And then you had people who were just called rockers who were listening to early rock. Both were still in motorcycle culture, even though mods tended to have scooters. The others also had motorcycles. So then you have sort of the jacket diverges into two different styles.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So as music and counterculture stuff changed in the 70s, you see that punk starts taking off. And people from both groups would get into punk. And we already had this culture established of jackets of all kinds now, because it's not just war vets, it's not just people on motorcycles, it's not just one type of music. Punk is when people started adding things like studs and safety pins and all of the other sort of accoutrement you see on a battle hardware. And that's when a lot of the patches became, political leaning too. Political leaning ones became as common as music ones, because punk has such a culture around it where you kind of, it's sad because sometimes you're like, are you the like chill anarchist kind of punk, or are you a literal Nazi? So
right, yeah. And I wish there was like, I don't understand how people in that neo-Nazi space are like, yes, I am punk and a neo-Nazi,
because they think that
so antithetical.
It's antithetical. They think the whole point is to be counter to modern culture in one way or another, and they're choosing the evil way.
Literally, like a pro-fascist punk should be like something that doesn't make any sense.
Should eat the curb. That's what should happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes no fucking sense.
No sense at all. So, yeah, the 70s with the rise of punk, and still punk was still loosely associated with motorcycle culture, right? Mm-hmm. Like, even in your cyberpunk video games, usually there's a hot cyberpunk chick with a motorcycle.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you?
Yeah, generally,
yeah.
I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077, and I have several different like outfits that involve something akin to a battle jacket, and I usually ride around on an Akira-inspired motorcycle.
Yeah. So it's still associated with motorcycle culture.
Hell yeah.
In the 80s is when metal had its rise, and metalhead culture started adopting the jackets, because I like some metal, and I think I would be classified into the punk genre of things, but I like quite a bit of metal. I wouldn't say I'm a metalhead, but there's so much overlap. But metalheads started making their own, and their battle jackets, like I said earlier, tended to revert back to, this is music-related stuff. So here are bands I like. Yeah. Some people have different rules about what bands they, will and won't include. Like, have I seen them live? I can't have the patch. So that's where metalhead culture really started getting into them.
And that's also where a certain TV show takes place.
Yes. So some of your crustier punks and your hardcore folks will actually turn their jackets as a means of protection in like mosh pits or protests or like actual fights and try to make them thick enough that someone tries to bottle them, someone tries to like, hit them with something, stab, like.
Yeah, I've seen people take a vest and like line the inside with like thin sheets of aluminum, like overlapping, almost like a medieval brigandine.
Yep. And I've seen people
really
like
cool.
sand down like Coke cans and stuff and like strip them and paint them to make different sort of pieces on their jacket. And spikes serve as some layer of protection if someone gets extremely sharp spikes, which, baby, don't do that and go into a mosh pit.
No, that's bad news.
That's bad etiquette. That's bad etiquette. You wear it to a protest, sure. Don't do it in the mosh pit.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, there was a resurgence of battle jackets in 2022 because of Eddie from Stranger Things. I have only seen the first season of Stranger Things, but after looking at pictures, I can see why I've been told I give gender-swapped Eddie vibes, because I have, I think, what might be the same actual Levi's vest with my big Becky Cloonan art. Wait, I have my big Becky Cloonan art on the back instead, but I was like, oh, that straight up looks like my like denim battle vest.
And I will say, I think you are more punk than Eddie by far. Well, so she hasn't seen season 2. I have seen season 2. I was a little disappointed by it, but knowing what I know about Eddie's character, he's a little soft.
A soft boy,
honestly. Yeah, a little bit.
But
I might get some hate mail for that, but I really think, he goes out in kind of a blaze of glory towards the end, I should say. I mean, spoiler alert.
It's old. It's an old Netflix show. Everyone can.
True.
They're gonna have their final season, and the kids are like 33. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like the last few episodes of the show, I'm like, yes, that is what an actual like badass punk person would do, I think, in that situation. But so much of the show of the season 2 is just him kind of like hiding in fear of being found. Not very punk. I don't know.
Yeah, not very community oriented either. It doesn't sound like, which is the part that's not punk
not really.
to me.
Yeah. Not superly.
But yeah, I saw a bunch of when I was looking this up, there was like several articles and blog posts about how do you feel about like fake metalheads coming onto the scene, just discovering Metallica because these little kids like Stranger Things. It's like, really? You're going to get upset with them because they weren't alive when this first started and they've discovered it through a TV show? Like, literally, on Valentine's Day, we watched Moulin Rouge, and I just explained, hey, I saw this as a tween, and that's where I learned about Toulouse-Lautrec, and now he's one of my favorite Impressionist artists, and it got me, like, very deeply into Impressionism as a whole, and okay, someone used a piece of media to get into something. Boo fuckity who.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like, this is, it's a piece of American culture.
Yeah, and like, it's music. It's
fine.
Just music.
Let just people music. Enjoy things. Chill out. Yeah, maybe they'll get a jacket with some band that they don't know on it, and then they go listen to the band, and they go, "Oh hell yeah, I like this."
Like,
right? You don't know.
Or like in the jackets for Battle Group, I saw a jacket that went hard as hell, and someone had a big Sabrina Carpenter patch on the back.
Love it.
Amazing.
Love it.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
A big like homemade Sabrina Carpenter patch, and I'm like, I don't even listen to her, and I think this is fucking sweet. This looks so cool.
Hell yeah.
Like, for me, the jackets are no rules, just right Outback, which now we're going to get into rules for battle jackets. Again, I don't think there are, like, real sets of rules. I tend to not like rules.
So, like, guidelines.
Yeah. Some of them, and, like, the things that I follow are mostly safety related.
Fair. Good point.
So, the only one I vaguely follow, having to be concerned for my safety when we lived in Texas specifically, is not have overtly political messages on the back of your jacket. Because if someone wants to hurt you for a patch you have, you should at least have a chance to see them coming.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's like, you don't want to put a kick me sign on your back if it's something that someone might see as a kick me sign, right?
Yeah.
That kind of logic.
Yeah, so I have a couple back patches that kind of skirt the line, but they're not overtly. So like I said, I have the guillotine one, which these are the people who were mad when they discovered that Rage Against the Machine are left, like on the left. So I'm not overly concerned that these people are going to put 2 and 2 together with my guillotine patch. I think the other most risky one I have is one from Catching Lizards Print Supply Company. It's Catching Lizards, but it's one that's got Gerard Way, and it says in the face of extermination, say fuck you. But again, these people,
It's not saying anything one way or another necessarily. It's just saying in the face of extermination, fuck you, which is like, you're not saying in the face of this particular political ideology.
Yeah, again, these
anything.
are the people that did not put together that Rage Against the Machine was not on their side of things. Yeah. So I'm not overtly concerned.
Also known as The Machine.
The Machine, yeah.
Listen, I'm The Machine. You mean to tell me Rage Against the Machine, I'm that machine that they're talking about, not a different one?
It's not a printer. So there's the only other one that I really kind of follow is I won't get a battle jacket at the thrift store and just wear it myself.
Oh, yeah, no. Like someone that's already made a battle jacket and then it somehow ended up at the thrift store.
Yeah. So I think the most I would do is take that and use it as a DIY project and take the patches off, use the patches that I wanted, offload the patches I didn't want, use that jacket for something else, like make a different jacket out of it. I'm not going to take it that the way the person who maybe donated it had it. I'm not going to wear their version of it. I will turn it into my own battle jacket and like use the parts. So
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so I wouldn't wear a thrifted one because again, it is so personal. I am not the person who made that. That doesn't actually reflect me as a person.
And I think really like, I bet there's some company out there that is selling like a pre-made battle jacket for you to wear.
Absolutely. And that apparently was very common with like fast fashion post that season of Stranger Things.
Ugh. That's just like so like antithetical to the point.
Yeah.
I feel like
so like there's mall goth, which I think gets discussed, but I also think there's like mall punk, where someone purchased the things at like Hot Topic to fit the aesthetic, but is not like DIYing stuff, which is inherent to the culture, I think, is DIYing things. So I have some general sort of suggestions about battle jackets if you want to make your own.
Cool.
So, like I said, I saw someone put a homemade Sabrina Carpenter patch on their battle jacket, but it also had like Megadeth on it. You don't have to have everything from the same genre of music or even stuff that makes sense. You could put whatever you want. Just it's your jacket. Make it look like whatever you want.
Yeah.
Don't think you have to finish it all at once. This is also for the autistic people with all or nothing thinking. You don't have to have the whole jacket figured out, and you don't have to know all the patches you want to put on it before you start. You can, if you don't iron it on and you sew it on, you can just take it off and move it around if you get new patches and you want things rearranged. Also, even if you don't think you're artsy, don't be afraid to DIY stuff. You can buy something called fabric medium at just about most art supply stores, and you can just mix this with some basic acrylic paint and paint your own patches. And the fabric medium will make them washable and last a long time and not crack and help the paint adhere to the fabric. So I do a lot of fiber art, and I try to do my best to not use new materials. So for patches, old t-shirt and denim scraps are really great for making your own patches. There's the sort of classic thing for a punk battle jacket is to use dental floss, but I am a diva, and TBH, I think it's ugly, and I don't want dental floss on my jacket. So if you are like me and would like it to not be dental floss, I like to use upholstery thread specifically for mine, because you need something really strong to go through very thick layers of stuff. So upholstery thread will hold up, and I'm not having patches fall off all the time. If you're new to sewing and you want to make your own patches, make the patch a little larger than you were intending it to be and tuck in the edges as you sew so the patch doesn't fray. But also, it is kind of a serve sometimes when stuff is fraying. So like my big Gerard Way patch, I deliberately have let that fray and left raw edges, but I've done like big,
Nice.
thick sashiko stuff around the edge. So it's
Yeah.
it's up to you.
It
It's your
works.
jacket, right? Also, if you want a battle jacket, I suggest finding a type of thimble you like, because you're going to be using a big, thick needle, which upholstery needles can work really well. I use my sashiko needles, any needle meant to go through a very thick fabric. But a thimble, because you're going to have to push it through several thick layers of stuff, and you're going to absolutely destroy your little fingy tips if you don't. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, no, I've done that. I've done that before when I couldn't find mine. Like, I couldn't find my thimbles, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it without. And then I was like, no, I shouldn't have done that. And then thrifting is your best friend. If you find a jacket you like, but you don't like the color, you can dye most stuff and just get some cheap Rit dye and make it another color. I have a disgustingly oatmeal beige colored jacket that I want to turn into a battle jacket, that I just got some red Rit dye that matches my hair, and I'm going to make it bright red. Oh, I got that one at a clothing exchange. That one was free.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So thrifting is going to be your best friend. Think of using things unconventionally too. So if a t-shirt has a cool logo on it, make that logo a patch. My denim battle jacket, I had a shirt that was getting a little threadbare, and I wanted to keep the art on it because it was Becky Cloonan art, and that was doing okay. So I cut out the Becky Cloonan art and put it on the back of my denim jacket, and now I get to enjoy that beautiful, beautiful art for like way longer.
Yeah, like I've got an old shirt also with Becky Cloonan art on it that doesn't actually fit very well, and I want to use that as a patch somewhere as well.
Yeah, and I had thrifted an old like Obey tank top for like $2 that said "Make Art, Not War."
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's one of my back patches, and I'm just adding stuff around it. So t-shirts can be a great source for patches, and then the rest of the t-shirt you can use to make your own patches. If you have, something that's denim or like an old canvas tote that doesn't have stuff on it, great patch material. So think of things like if it's something you can deconstruct and turn into material for a sturdy patch. Fabric interfacing is something I would put on the back of the t-shirt scraps to help them be thicker and a little more stable for when you're doing that. And that's easy to get in any sewing supply store. But yeah, if it has good bones and it fits you in a way that you like, it can be your very own battle jacket. And
Heck yeah.
I also just really recommend following Jackets for Battle, the subreddit, for ideas. I've seen some beautiful stuff where people have made battle blazers, and it's like a blazer. I saw someone making a battle cardigan with a bunch of patches that they had done their own like lino cut stamps on. And it was like forest themed stamps, so like little mushrooms and toads and a bunch of cool stuff. Like,
I love
it. Just it can be literally whatever you want it to be. You don't have to be punk. I've seen people make real flowy skirts with these patches on them. It's whatever you want it to be, and I think it is just a really cool piece of clothing that has so much more of a story to it than most clothing that exists today. And I'm a sucker for DIY, and when I see someone else wearing a battle jacket, I can look at the patches and figure out whether they are a friend or a Nazi, which is one way you can figure out what group someone belongs to. But I kind of like that some people can look at my jacket and say, oh, she's friend-shaped. Let me go talk to her.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, and one thing to note, too, is if you're turning a leather jacket into a battle jacket, you'd probably need a slightly different set of tools, but most of the tools that you would need are actually not too different, just slightly different. But yeah, absolutely. I really like the idea that like someone can just look at something you're wearing and go, yes, that's safe. I get that type of person.
Safe, friendship.
Safe person.
I can talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the old adage that people, or I say old adage, but there's people that tell their kids, hey, if you're lost, look for a goth to try and help you.
Yeah, look for someone who looks like punk or goth to try to help you. Yeah. Because and for me, I think it's also been pretty healing from like unmasking my autism too, which is going to sound like a reach, but I would get told I looked intimidating a lot before I knew I was autistic, and it was just because of my resting bitch face. And I was kind of obsessed with my clothing making me approachable. My hair was to make me approachable. I like specifically told myself, you need to make yourself as approachable as possible. And I didn't really get to do things that fit with who I felt like as a person. Like, I didn't like my own clothes. I didn't like my own hair. I would not. And I realized, like, oh, I would not approach me.
Yeah. I know that's actually very similar to the experience I had before I transitioned when I was presenting male. And I got told all the time that I was very intimidating because my voice projects a lot, and I'm 6'2", and at the time I was quite burly. I worked out a lot to compensate for
The pain inside.
the feelings that I was having, the pain inside. Exactly. Yeah. And so I was doing a lot of like hyper masculine things to try and compensate for how I actually felt. But also I really hated that feeling of like, if I was walking somewhere at night and a woman saw me, there would be a very visible like sense of they're uncomfortable because I look like a dude, and they don't know. And so I would do something similar. I would wear like bright shirts with funky patterns and stuff like that to be like, look, I'm chill, I'm cool,
I'm safe.
I'm not intimidating.
I'm one of the safe ones. See?
Yeah.
Which,
Exactly,
especially when
yeah.
you're dealing with dysphoria, the extra layer of that had to be like deeply upsetting because a part of you was like, no, I'm one of you. I'm one of you. It's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was such a confusing feeling, but really there's a lot of concerted effort on my part to seem like just chill and approachable and not like intimidating. And this was so conflicting because I had like just recently come out of like an emo metal phase. So there was a whole like intimidating aspect to a lot of the stuff I owned, and so I was like trying to soften a lot of that stuff up so people weren't scared of me.
But now
Yeah.
with like my little battle jacket collection, I like that I have made myself approachable to the people that I actually want to have approaching me. So
Exactly.
anyway, I know it's just a vest and just a jacket. I feel very strongly about them, and I like them, and I think they're cool, and I think more people should make them for themselves.
Absolutely. I agree. I think they're cool as hell. I think your battle jackets are cool. And I'm going to go make a battle G-string.
Ooh, I'm going to help you.
Hell yeah. I'll put a patch right on the gooch.
If you like this episode, you can thank our Patreon supporters like Dave Perrell, Steve Hernacki, Megan E., Carl Brooks, Natasha Neves, Laysan, Gus, Lutzi, Helen Clifford, B. Trossler, Kelly Brennan, Sewing Seraph, Rachel Rachelson, Fintago, Randy Lovings, and Stephanie Ritter. Now, you know the usual. If you want to help us out, the absolute best way you can do that is tell other people about the show. That's how we grow entirely. We don't take paid ads, and we don't pay for ads, and we grow by you being chill and cool and telling other people you liked us. If you want to see what Violet and I are up to on social media, make sure you check out the show details to see where we are lurking around on the internet. If you'd like to help us, you can also subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. You can leave a cute review on your podcatcher of choice if they support that. Both of those things help us get discovered by new people and help us kind of work the algorithms to our benefit. If you're in a place to support us monetarily, you can check out the show details to become part of the Mixnomer Patreon page. You can get bonus benefits for any show we do now and any show we do in the future, and it'll be your one-stop shop for supporting anything that the Mixnomer gang makes. And if you want to come hang out with us, make sure you check out the show details for a link to our Discord server. It's good vibes. It is so fun. We have sometimes very heartfelt chats about things, and sometimes it's like dick and fart jokes, and that's the perfect balance for me. So if you want to come hang out with us, we do streams. I'm going to be doing a body doubling stream as I'm later in the day that I'm recording this, but I do that on Mondays. We have a Stitch and Bitch hangout every Thursday. It's really fun, and you should come hang out with us on Discord. But that's all I've got for you today, my friends. Until next time, clever sign off.